Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us for another interview with St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith, who's good enough to join us periodically. And Mr. Mayor, big-time congratulations on your, I think we can call it an overwhelming re-election victory.
Thank you, Richard.
Were there a few write-in votes for other folks, or is that something?
I think there was 27.
Did your kids get a few votes?
I haven't had a chance to find out who the names were, but I've been meaning to check on that.
Anyway, but congrats. So again, just reelected to your third two-year term. Anything come to mind about any particular goal as you start your third term?
No. I think we're excited for the opening of the pool, which is on schedule for June 1st.
Oh, great.
And then to see how that carries over into the fall and winter with the dome. It'll be interesting to see what the use is on it and how we have definitely high confidence in Kelly Vians and her staff to organize activities and programs. So we think it's going to be a great addition to the county, to the county, not just the city, but the county.
So June 1st is looking at this point pretty solid.
June 1st is what we're looking at. Hopefully the winter breaks sooner than later, so they can get back on site. There's still some activity. We still have some TIF activities that expires in, I think, 18 months, our window of opportunity, if you will.
And of course, city voters having approved the latest tax increment financing on the 100 to 120 Federal Street property.
Yeah, so that would be, there'll be a lot going on in the next 2 years on Federal Street. You'll have that project. You'll have the streetscape with the sidewalk going down on the west side of Federal.
Oh, yeah.
You'll have the completion of the rail dispatch center at the former Fonda site. So I think in addition to, we announced that there's 3 new businesses coming to Main Street. But there's also rumblings of 3 additional ones coming up here for the downtown area. So we're excited about that. And just continue to plug along and make improvements and work on the neighborhoods. I think that would be, we still have ARPA dollars that we're working. We're focused on neighborhoods. So I think there's that, and all the stuff we continue to do. Recreation parks. There's some activity planned for Aldous Hill and Hardack again. We still have to figure out what we're doing with the old pool site, but I think we'll continue down the path that has got us here. We'll continue to plant trees, maintain the downtown like we have, work with businesses. So the agenda is very similar to what it has been the last 2 or 3 years, and we'll just continue down that road.
No, it sounds like you have plenty of activities to keep you pretty busy.
And just administratively, we'll have a new look with the city clerk and treasurer.
Right. No, that was a big vote. Did you have any concern about that vote? Of course, this is giving the city council authority to appoint a city clerk treasurer. Legislature has to kind of sign off on that too, which I trust it will. But any concern about that vote or not?
I did not have any concern because once you laid out what the facts were and had the conversation with folks, they really truly understood that we could not take a chance on having someone in there that's not that through the voting process would not have been scrutinized like they will through the appointment process. Times have changed a lot over the last 40 years, 50 years. Requirements, regulations, guidelines, and you really need someone to stay on top of that for a community the size of St. Albans. You may get away with it in smaller communities, but I think in the larger ones, it's difficult to find the person with the skills through the voting process.
And especially in the case before the charter amendment was approved, again, the city clerk treasurer had to be a St. Albans city resident, even reducing the roster kind of that much more.
Right.
No, that's, I was glad to see you got a good vote on that. That seems to be a trend. I think there were at least a couple of other, I think maybe Bakersfield and Berkshire had similar ballot items this year.
Yeah, just within the county, but around the state, I think they
Yeah.
were pushing, I think it was 30 or 35
Oh, really?
communities have moved to that direction. So,
Interesting. So again, the legislature has to sign off on this. I know Councilor State Rep Mike McCarthy has been giving that plenty of attention, so sounds like that shouldn't be any problem. So July 1st would be the date that the council would have the authority.
right. So I think we'll be ready to appoint someone on July 1st,
Huh.
because we'll advertise an interview, not we, but the city manager will,
Yeah.
during this 3-month period, so we'll be ready to go. So we have a meeting tomorrow where we'll appoint an interim clerk and treasurer from in-house. It'll be more often than not, it'll probably be just a three-month appointment.
Right. I should note we're taping this show on Thursday, March 3rd, 2 days after the election. So that was a good vote for you. Ward 1, Tim Hawkins reelected without opposition. Ward 2, interesting. I think for the second straight election, a bit of a surprise in the outcome. Of course, Jim Pelkey, a veteran councilor, didn't run for reelection, so a contest between Newell Decker and Jamie Pinkham. And Newell Decker with a pretty disappointing turnout, pretty low turnout, but Newell winning a close race, 49 to 43 votes. So I think maybe a bit of a surprise, but Newell's your new Ward 2 city councilor.
Yeah, I think it was a surprise. The campaigning's difficult. You have to have some social media, presence.
Yeah.
I think you also have to do in person, but I spoke to Jamie when I shared the results, and she said no one answers the door anymore when you knock on a door,
Really?
whether it's COVID or
Yeah.
just where we are in life. But it's tough to have that one-on-one conversation by going door to door.
Yeah.
So how do you advertise? There's Front Porch Forum, there's Facebook. But if you have and I don't mean to stereotype, but if you have an older ward, the likelihood that all of them are on Facebook or gets Front Porch Forum is pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
So it's and the messenger isn't what it used to be. I mean,
Yeah.
when you could put an ad in the messenger or letters to the editor
Yeah.
on a daily basis, now it's every 2 days. I don't know what the circulation is, but I'm sure it's dropped significantly since they
Yeah,
went
it's
to
a
2
very
days.
different world out there
Yeah,
today.
so it's difficult to try to
Yeah.
find your constituents and share what your platform is.
Well, I trust Jamie Pinkham, and we talked to her. She was good enough to talk to us on our coverage here election night, but it sounded like she was, of course, she's vice chair of the Police Advisory Commission. Sounded like she had every expectation to stay involved, so we certainly might see her running
Yeah.
again in the future.
Oh, Jamie's done a great job along with Melinda White on the and the rest of the board on the Police Advisory Commission.
Yeah.
Their work is scrutinized regularly by other residents in the community. So they've done a great job in working closely with Chief Lamont. Let me just jump back to Tim Hawkins.
Yeah.
I think this election puts Tim, when done, he will have 15 years on the council.
Well, that's impressive. That's a lot of meetings,
Yeah,
a lot of
that's a lot of
time.
meetings, a lot of time.
For which, in case people don't happen to know this, and the good old $10 a month is long gone, these folks, the mayor included, get nothing. I may be maybe not the only city resident. I think that's insane. I think you guys should get some bucks. But anyway, this is
Thank
for
you, Richard.
zero pay for these folks, people.
But Tim, when I came on board 4 years ago, I've been impressed. I'm impressed with all of them: Chad Spooner, Mike McCarthy, Marie Bissett, Jim
Yeah, you got a
Pelkey.
good council.
We got a good council. And Tim is just so knowledgeable about historic perspective. As a lawyer, he's in tune with how the city clerk's office runs. He's well versed in the liquor control board. So Tim's been a great asset, and I'm glad that he chose to run again. But 15 years is a long time to
Wow.
commit to a community, and just like Jim committing 20 years, it's
Yeah, Jim Pell, again, just the institutional knowledge and
Yeah.
what you get out of somebody like that, it's
And-
got to
and-
be so valuable.
and the sad part about Jim leaving is that
Yeah.
it was out of his control, right? I mean, it
Uh-huh.
wasn't like he was bored and tired of it. It was just
Right.
that he had health issues that
Right.
made it difficult to participate. So,
Right.
and he has, and they're not, they haven't been resolved yet. There's more operations and whatnot coming down the line. So, yeah. So it's a great council. I think we have great balance across the board as to skill sets, and so I've been very, very happy. So
I guess I saw Reverend Dominic Cloud, the longtime city manager, up to about 13 years
I
or
think
so.
he's at 13 years. Yeah.
Boy, we're talking, I mean, the average in the state is probably about maybe half of that or so. That's
I think the average for a stay is 5 years.
even, wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to just quickly flash to. I'm not sure how long Bill Chaffee was
Jeez,
there.
Bill, I'm thinking at quick glance, maybe closer to like 15 to 20 or something. Is that, but you'd probably know better than me.
No, I think he. Well, you did have that space. I bet you Bill was pushing 20.
Yeah, I think that
He
sounds about
started
right.
early 80s,
Yeah.
and he was still there. I think around 2000.
That sounds about right to me. Yeah.
So
That's pretty impressive stability
Yeah.
for some key jobs.
Yeah.
You got another positive vote on the embedded crisis worker for Northwestern Counseling and Support Services, a crisis intervention specialist for the St. Albans PD, and that'll be the second such person in the PD.
exactly. Well, the first one is an NCSS employee,
Got it,
and this
okay.
one will be funded by the city police department.
Okay.
I can tell you that with my interaction, and there's an individual there now, and then we've had others in the past, and all of them have been huge assets to the police department. Their professionalism, their ability to handle a crisis. We've been very fortunate, and hopefully this new hire will be just as successful in that position as the others that we've had in the past. So I think it's great for the police department to have this. It's another asset, another resource for them to use, and as many of us know, I think mental health issues have increased significantly during the COVID period. So I think this will be a nice addition, and I thank the voters for seeing that and approving it.
Again, City PD, you're close to, I guess, full staff is what, 12 uniformed officers?
right.
Are you close to that at this point?
Yeah, we've been close all along. One I think I've shared, it was out on maternity leave, and she, I'm thinking, should be back any day now. We've talked about the new police station and what that has to offer, and we think that's a tool for recruitment. So we will, we had a report at the last meeting. I don't know if you and I touched on it when we spoke, but 9,000 calls in a year.
Really?
And that was half a year in the town as well. So I think on average we sort of run the charts at about 6,000 calls. And out of 6,000 calls, there was only 30 that needed restraint. So I think Chief Lamont and his team have done a great job, and have been well aware of where we are in the world relative to COVID and what the impacts are, and I think they've done a great job over the last 2 years for sure.
I know there was certainly disappointment when the city PD lost the contract with the town. In retrospect, and was that maybe not such a bad thing? I mean, it's a smaller department. Is there maybe some benefit about just having a smaller department?
Yeah, I think pros and cons, Richard. I think obviously there was a financial aspect to it that we were able to benefit from. But at the same time, one of the new procedures or policies that the police department is doing is that every day, every street in the city will be patrolled by
Really?
a police officer.
Huh.
And if people see that, they may see just a steady blue light on the car. It's nothing to be concerned with. It's just that they're doing their patrols, if you will. So I think our neighborhoods are seeing a lot more of a presence, and which for me is ideal.
Yeah.
You know, Chief Lamont shared with us that there had not been a single car break-in reported
Really?
over the last year, which, you know, is huge in my opinion. I mean, we all know someone that had a car broken into in the past, but I think the neighborhood patrol has been great, and so there's pros and cons to it for sure.
Yeah.
You know, we will still work with Highgate. I think there could be a discussion. We're not having discussions, but there could be with Georgia down the road.
And the Highgate's a year. You just got a second 1-year contract.
It's a
with
year by
Highgate?
year, starting July 1. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some good words from Highgate officials about the city PD coverage.
Yeah, I was I guess I was going from Enosburg to Swanton one day, and I saw one of our officers on patrol up on Route 78, and so I think we have not heard any complaints from Highgate. I think they're very, very happy with the service.
Yeah. Back to, again, one of the ballot items, the property 100 to 120 Federal Street. What's the plan for that? I guess a long vacant lot. What's the plan for that, Tim?
Yeah, that lot used to be, for those who have lived here for years, used to be the junkyard for SP Collins. So the junkyard, Jackie, can't think of Jackie's last name, but she cleaned it up when her husband died, Greg Brown. When Greg passed, she cleaned it up. So the city right now is doing a phase 1 and phase 2 assessment of it to see what the contamination is and see what's needed to clean it up. So that process is ongoing, or will be ongoing. And once we know what that is and we do the cleanup, then we will continue conversations with potential buyers to develop it. So many times when you're dealing with development, a lot of interested parties don't want to deal with the brownfield cleanup aspect of it, mainly due to the unknown and what they might find. So the city has access to some brownfield funds, not only on the state level, but federal level. And they're going to do the phase 1 and phase 2, and we'll see where it comes out. And hopefully we will move to a development plan as soon as we have that.
Of course, the railroad station, very close by there. Speaking of that, I've been asked this question a couple times. Can folks who are doing Amtrak trips, can they leave their car there? I know I've got a friend in Essex who's been towed, thought he could leave his car at the Essex Junction station and got towed years ago, but I think maybe he might have asked me that.
I thought you could.
You thought you could?
I haven't heard any issues other than that. We have had
maybe not the smartest thing to do, but I was just curious if that.
Well, we've had some people like I remember a call from a lady in Quebec City who wanted to put her car in the parking garage for long term.
Oh, really?
Because she was going to Florida for a month or 2 months, whatever it was, by train. And I know that Marty Manhan made an arrangement with her where she could leave it there.
Yeah.
It's not like the parking garage is packed where it would impact it. So, so that's an option for people who may want to do that.
That's a good point.
I think half the parking lot is utilized for the rail dispatch center, and I think half I thought was for Amtrak, and I thought they were welcome to park there.
Now, speaking of Amtrak, I interviewed Newell Decker and Jamie Pinkham, obviously before the vote, and I remember telling Newell, who knows his railroad stuff pretty impressively, Newell, if you get elected, I trust you'll give getting the Amtrak Vermonter back to Montreal some attention. And he kind of laughed. Hearing anything new on that, perchance?
I haven't heard anything new, no.
Nothing new. And what about bus? I know our friend Mr. Jim Levy's been doggedly pursuing that. Any bus news?
Jim left me a message 3 or 4 weeks ago just stating that when the borders open up like they were prior to COVID, that the Greyhound bus is scheduled to return, and St. Albans is on the list of stops. So he said it's still on the table. No reason to think it's not. So, and he had that conversation with a Greyhound executive.
Really? That's
So
right.
it's still there.
Border situation, I guess it's gotten better, but I'm still it's sure not like the old days. It's we still have a ways to go. Or
Yeah, I think so. I think the chamber director over in Plattsburgh was still complaining about
Gary
the
Douglas has been about the biggest.
Yeah, Gary.
You see Gary on
Gary's-
TV all the time.
Gary's been rambling about this for a while,
Yeah.
and he's still not happy with the scenario.
Yeah.
I think the new guidelines are, I think you can have a antigen test, but it can't be store-bought. You still need to go to a hospital or a healthcare facility to get that test. It doesn't have to be the
PCR, I guess.
PCR, yeah. So that is a little bit of a change, but still, you have to get tested, and I think you have to prove that within the 24 hours of crossing the border.
Yeah.
So it's still not ideal.
Looks like we're making progress, but I probably hate to even talk about it too much. But 2 years into it, boy, hopefully we're finally. The numbers are certainly looking a lot better in Vermont for much lower case numbers anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Obviously the schools went to optional mask, which is a big step in that direction.
And that was as of what, Tuesday? This week, I guess.
As of yesterday.
As of yesterday.
Yeah, so, and I didn't get a chance to talk to my kids about what the percentage was of people wearing or not wearing.
Are your kids still wearing masks, or do you know what they're doing?
I didn't. I'm thinking 2 of them who have had COVID are not.
Yeah.
And the one in high school who has not had COVID is wearing a mask.
Oh, yeah.
And at least she said she was as of yesterday.
Interesting.
So I don't know what the layout is.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to move past this and try to get back to some level of normal.
That would be nice. I always ask you about the USCIS, U.S. Customs and Immigration Services. Not a word.
Not a peep. Last time I was here, I think I told you I reached out to Senator Sanders and Leahy's office, as well as Congressman Welch, and all their staffers have said we've heard nothing. So that organization is pretty independent. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like Leahy has a lot of muscle, if you will, over that organization. They pretty much run independently, so they can reach out and ask, but they don't always get the answers.
And we've talked before. I mean, you wouldn't be stunned if nothing ever, if just the status quo stayed with us for indefinitely, perhaps.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the employees, and they were sort of given the okay to continue to work from home. I still don't understand how they supposedly they have to pick up files on a weekly basis, have something to work on. So I'm not sure how that part of the job will be, how they'll make accommodations for that.
Yeah.
So.
And meanwhile, the old facility, the Gil-Tabor complex, nothing to report there.
Nothing at all.
Yeah. Well, I've got you with your Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation hat. It sounds like some noteworthy news perhaps coming out of the old Energizer plant.
Yeah, we'll find out more today.
No, really.
As one step in the process is that Beta Technology is going before the Vermont Economic Progress Council. And the Progress Council handles the VEGI program, which is Vermont Economic Growth Incentive. And that program, companies apply for a job creation incentive, to put it simply. And depending on the number of jobs, what the wages are, what the capital investment is on the site, they run all that information through a REMI economic model. And depending what that spits out, if you will, the company will get an incentive based on all of those numbers. And the incentive, it varies. Mylan did the same thing. years ago. I think Ben and Jerry's has in the past. So the program is just an incentive to try to keep businesses or entertain businesses coming to the state. And the crucial piece of it is there's a but-for scenario. And basically it says, but for these incentives, we'll look to go someplace else. So it's odd, in my opinion. Anyone in economic development would love to just see that we incentivize job growth and not have it dependent on them going someplace else to see what other package they can get and trying to find the best deal. We should just focus on recruitment in the state and giving these incentives if there's a return on investment for the state. So that meeting is today at 9:30, and that will be one step in their process. There's others, but yeah, it's we're very optimistic and excited.
So
about
this looks
that.
pretty solid. You're feeling pretty good about this right now? A little early, especially
Yeah, a little
before
early.
the
I think there's a
meeting.
couple of things that have to be ironed out, but just the fact that the building itself has the infrastructure they need
Right.
makes me optimistic because it has a clean room that the Energizer used for their lithium battery making. So that makes me optimistic. They were looking at buildings in Plattsburgh that do not have that infrastructure. They don't have the ability to grow at the buildings in Plattsburgh. At Energizer, they would. And then, of course, finding employees is always a concern. I know that Plattsburgh has a human capital shortage as well. I mean, it's not like they have a high list of unemployment, but they're in the same situation, finding good staff. So
How many employees, have they thrown out a number about how many?
yeah, we had this conversation the other night. I think initially it's in that 200 range with the opportunity to go to 340.
Really? Phew, wow.
So if they get to 340, that will be bigger than what Energizer was in their waning years.
Wow.
So.
Phew, boy, that sounds like a lot of folks to find, but hopefully it'll get to that point.
Yeah, no, it's a concern for everyone for sure, Richard. But our take on it, and I think it depends on pay and benefits. But you look at the 30-car pileup last week on the interstate.
Yeah.
How many people are getting tired of that travel to Burlington and would love to work 10 or 15 minutes from home?
Yeah.
We have the stats show that we have about 10,000 people getting on the interstate and going south every day.
Really?
We just entertained
down to about 1 minute, Tim, just to tell you.
Okay. We just entertained a conversation with a business that he goes to Burlington every day and he's tired of it.
Yeah.
So he's looking at looking for an office rental to do his. It's just one person.
Yeah.
But I think if given the opportunity where someone could have better pay, better benefits, they would save that hour and a half every day and choose to work locally.
Yeah, sounds like some very encouraging news out there. Again, we're taping this show on Thursday, March 3rd, so we'll certainly be following that. Another 15 seconds, anything you want to quickly throw out?
Yeah, just quickly, spring's coming. We're excited for that, and there's going to be the Kingman block party coming up.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so we can talk about that further.
Yeah. Sounds like the winter carnival went pretty well,
Went
too.
pretty well considering, yeah.
Okay, anyway, on that note, we'll leave it right there. Thanks to, again, just re-elected Mayor Tim Smith. Tim, thanks for your time. Thanks to producer Roger Lindelof for doing all the hard work. I'm Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. See you next time.